What's up, family? Thank you for coming back to the Comic Nerd Press. And me, my name is Flip, and this is Nick.
What's up,
And
everybody?
this week for this comic poll, we decided to talk about uh, a, a few things. One, we both saw the Black Adam movie, and two, we both grabbed this issue right here of the Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing, which is actually a sequel to Jeff Johns' Joker, The Three Jokers. So, um, before we get into it, um, that awesome comic book that you and I've been reading, let's go ahead and talk about some of the Black Adam. What did you think of it, man? Because
Great.
I
It was great, man. As for someone who doesn't know too much about you know, DC and Black Adam, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was totally its own thing. Um, I would definitely recommend go watching it. Go watch it. It's a good movie. I really liked it. It was full of action. Uh, a lot of cool characters, that I recognize, not from the Justice League, and so it was really cool. And seeing some of them finally brought to the screen was really awesome. So yeah. How'd you feel about it? What was one of some of your favorite parts?
oh, okay. My favorite part. So as a fan of DC for a very long time, and kind of a comic book historian, I didn't know, like, back in 2007 when they announced that The Rock was going to be Black Adam. I
Yeah,
didn't know
that
how
was a long time ago. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, I didn't know
people
how
don't
they were
realize
gonna
that. Yeah.
yeah. And the fact that they were like, hey, let's just wait until the script and everything lines up with what the fans wanted. I mean, they're even promoting it right now. Like, the fans are going goo goo
Hmm.
for this film. Um, I love the fact that the character, like, I mean, just the initial fight scene alone,
Yeah,
um,
that was,
like
yeah, that was something
like
else,
that,
man.
like
That was something else. That was
I was
hilarious.
like, homie just ripped this dude's arm off and did not give a
Oh
pound.
man.
Like, he did not care. It's just like, oh, and then you realize it's like, well, he comes from an ancient world where, like, that stuff.
That's no holds barred. They initiated the combat,
Yeah,
so he's like, okay, cool.
yeah, and he's fighting from an ancient perspective, and versus now, and it's like, whoa, okay, that's why it's shocking, because to him, it's another Thursday. For us as viewers, we're like, whoa, homie just, like, obliterated dudes,
Dude,
like like nothing, dude. And that was
man.
like, okay, okay. I feel you, man. I feel you.
For an
You
opening
know.
scene, for his kind of introduction, you're just like, oh crap. Just yeah,
Yeah.
no holds barred. He doesn't hold back. He doesn't. It's like he doesn't care. And that's like the coolest
um
thing. He's just like foolish mortals.
the only thing that I didn't care for was, like, why didn't he just use doors? Like, he just
Oh,
like, like his
Kool Aid Man all the way. It's cool, man.
yeah,
Screw it.
yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
yeah, like, he just briefly just smashed through every wall, and I was just like, wait, why? Like, why would you do that? And he's like, of course we had doors. How did you expect we
how
get?
would we?
I'm
Yeah,
like,
how would else would we
yeah,
get every?
yeah. And I'm going, like, but why would you do that now? Like, that doesn't make sense. But okay, a bit small gripe. But the
Yeah.
rest of it, man, was like, I loved it. And the fact that, so I knew they were not going to go with the traditional backstory. So for you folks that don't know, Black Adam originally was just a guy that the Wizards chose, and he chose to overthrow the King of Kondak and use his powers for evil. That so he was very much a villain back in the 1950s. But in recent times, ever since there was a an event where the heroes went away um, for a long period of time, and it was like 52, not New 52, but the event was called 52, where um, the the heroes went away, and so all of like the B heroes, like the B level heroes, had to do it, and we learned that Black Adam was never really a villain. It was just he was a he was viewed as a villain from the West society, and the Eastern society he was viewed as a hero, and which they brought in the film, and and again they kind of changed his origin story because even his back origin story in the 52 versus the new run with Shazam. Like they took elements of those things because um, in the in the new 52, which is his new origin story, him and his nephew were given a the powers of becoming the champion.
That's just okay, yeah.
Yeah, and his nephew was like, "Oh, we need to be heroes. We need to do this." And he's like, "No, we have power. We should liberate our people." And his nephew's like, "Oh no, um, let's forgive them, give them mercy, and liberate our people." And him and his nephew fought like he manipulated his nephew. His nephew was like 10 years old. And he just snapped the neck and then stole
Oh
his
wow,
powers. Yeah. So it's kind
that's
of like
gnarly.
a yeah. So he has a very dark origin story, but I like the Dwayne Johnson story
Hmm.
where the son goes and saves him. And I told people before the movie came out, and I was like, dude, this because he said, "Oh, I'm the man in black. I'm the man in black, man in black." And I'm like, if you ever watched old Western movies, the man in black was like the dude that came into town, cleaned it up, and then rode off into sunset. But for the Eastern culture, the man in black motif rode into town, cleaned it up, and stayed in, for the town's protector.
Mm.
Um, so what's interesting is,
Ah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, all right.
yeah. So the reason why I was nerding out for the entire movie, um, is because it took the Eastern trope of the man in black and it took the Western trope and it married it because um and they even hinted at what movie that they were inspired by, the good, bad, and the ugly,
Yeah, that was a
because it
cool
was
scene. That
yeah,
was a really
yeah.
cool scene. Yeah.
If you watch that movie and watch Black Adam side by side, um it's the same tempo, it's the same scenes, so which I found very interesting. I was okay, they definitely know what they're doing with it. So um yeah, I kudos, man. Like
Yeah, it
that
was
movie
well
was
well
freaking
done.
awesome.
Well done. It was it me or was Dr. Fate a little nerfed? I felt like he was they nerfed him a little bit because I've always thought he was like a
Yeah,
super uber powerful character, and he just seemed kind of a little not that he wasn't badass. He was super dope in the movie, but I was like, huh, I was expecting a little more kind of
yeah.
like
You're
otherworldly
not
power or something, or like you know.
you're not wrong. I mean, but I get it too because this was very much a um Black Adam movie. So
Right, of
I
course.
think
Yeah.
yeah. So I think the reason why they nerfed him was because they had to um prove the other character, right? And you know, he helped the story along.
Mhm.
And if they explored all the powers of the helmet, I man, that I mean, and it could be for future projects they will not nerf it as much. Maybe this rendition of the
Yeah, because
character,
the helmet is still there and intact. It's still very
right?
very much able to call someone else to be used.
Right.
because
And
it chooses its wielder.
yeah, and the fact that Hawkman was able to tap into it because the
That was
helm
cool.
allowed him to use it, because it allowed, those things to go. I was like, okay, cool. Um, that's freaking awesome. So
That I
you
wasn't.
know,
I was like, that was a really cool. Then when that all went down and he kind of saved, that I was like, I didn't know what to expect, or excuse me, I didn't see that one coming at all, and I was like, oh, that was really cool.
yeah. So the fact that they're playing with that mythos with the helm, like I wonder like what's the next character that they're gonna choose
Hmm.
for that the Doctor Fate helm, and what powers they will learn to unlock, because not every Doctor Fate is this uber godlike being. Some of them are um kind of me,
Hmm.
like, because and a lot of DC fans think that's because the whoever wears it, like the helm, knows how much power to give to someone depending on their wisdom. And like, because it sees all the way through each person's wisdom, and something, and I'm one of those people in that camp where I think the helm itself is alive. I think it's
Yeah, I thought it was is kind of like its own separate entity, and where he has to kind of convince it to let him become
yeah,
back to the, or let the user, because if not, it feels like it needs to be fate, it needs to be present at all times.
yeah,
So
right.
okay, yeah, so yeah, but that's something I'd like to see in its own respect, right? Like it has to, and I can see why they would have to. They don't want every single Doctor Fate to be, uber powerful, because you got to have some kind of character growth, and I'm pretty
Hmm.
sure the helmet knows that too. You got to, make this person, you know, turn into the right Doctor Fate, not just any Doctor Fate, or
Oh,
however the
absolutely.
logic, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that they went with the 1950s original Dr. Fate, like we do, and like what he struggled with the helm, um, was I liked seeing that, because in the original Dr. Fate, like in the comics, he wasn't that powerful, but because of the reboots and the resettings and all of that, like the power has shifted. So uh, it's hinted at in the comics that um, his character in the comics knew about how great the helm can be. He just never used it. So,
Mm.
I wonder if they're going to explore that in later films, because like in this film, he like, because and we learned why the helm chose Pierce Brosnan's version of Dr. Fate was because of his wisdom. So like he saw like all the different ways things were going to go down, and then himself was like, and I'm not trying to spoil the movie.
Right,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I'm not trying to spoil it, but he chose a third option. Like,
Hmm.
and we as the audience didn't know that that third option could exist. And he's like, huh, there's a third option. There's this one thing we can do. It's unconventional, and it's going to appease my heart. And I won't go in too much, detail on that.
Yeah, that
But
was good too. Yeah, that was really.
yeah, I was like, oh, okay. This is why the helm chose this Dr. Fate. Like, now you understand. Like, he was not about
He
himself. It
had to
was
make that
about,
decision. He had
yeah,
to.
yeah,
He was, because even when he explained to Hawkman, he was like, "Yeah, man, when I say goodbye, that's it. It's." But even then, he was like, "Oh wait, no,
yeah,
let's subvert expectations even more." And they did a great job. That was really good, and
yeah,
because I didn't expect halfway through the movie for what happened for Black Adam to to kind of make that decision. I don't want to make too many spoilers, but to finally kind of submit, and then go do what he had to do. And then I was like, whoa, okay, well, I thought he was the main character. Where are they putting him? So I was
Yeah.
yeah, it was really good, really good.
Yeah, and again, if you watch the
Storytelling.
good, bad, yeah, if you watch the good, the bad, and the ugly, you can see the parallels in the film. And I thought that was ingenious. And again, that's not the first time, you know, Hollywood has took a comic book property and did that because Logan did that with Unforgiven. Because like Logan back in 2017 is literally a remake of Unforgiven, like down to everything. Um, but they changed a few things, probably because Fox didn't want to get sued by Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
But so that and if you watch the good, bad, and the ugly, like you'll understand what we're talking about. Like we're trying to be as vague as possible on purpose because the film, I honestly, this reset the DC universe in the cinematic sense on an
Yeah,
epic scale, on an epic
definitely,
scale. And
definitely.
as comic book fans, man, we're loving it. Like again, the opening fight scene where he rips the dude's arm off, I was like,
And the best
damn.
part, and some of the best part is like, even all this while this is still going on, the humans are like the I forget the lady's name.
Oh,
Her and her
yeah,
brother.
yeah,
Her and her brother, they're trying to get out of there. They're like, "Oh crap, this dude's really powerful." He's just in the background, just going off on these dudes, just no,
yeah.
so nonchalantly, just floating, like he's not even going. He's just like, shh. And that was great. Yeah,
Yeah. Like to see um like mortal characters reacting to a superpowered being that way. And he has an ancient worldview. So his ancient worldview, because
your
like my
magic is weak. Oh, that was so great. He's just, what is this?
yeah, yeah.
Your
Or, or
magic.
or another line that he did was like, I will teach your son violence. No, I don't want him to learn. Oh,
When
you
is he
want it?
gonna?
Of course. Your
You're
father,
gonna
you want
teach
his
him. Oh yeah,
yeah, like I was just like, because he's got such an ancient mindset. Like they don't understand. Like you modern, his character doesn't understand. Modern humans don't want violence, but his ancient was like, no, we need to learn violence because otherwise, whatever. And it was
yeah.
like,
Then you get
okay,
oppressed. Like the problem,
yeah,
like his when he explained, he was like, find the people that are oppressing you and destroy them. He's like, it
yeah,
was so simple. He said it so like like it was just, yeah, just do that. Like it's
yeah,
not even
yeah,
uh
yeah.
I was gonna ask you, did you catch kind of the Terminator reference?
I,
With the catch
I,
the
I,
catchphrases, that was so funny.
yes. Tell the man and the dude
Yeah,
dies.
just dead. Oh man.
Dude,
And
when
he's
I, when
learning,
I,
and it shows him learning. Like, dang, I really got to get this down. I gotta.
yeah, and to the end where he finally says it at the right time, and then
He
he
gets the
then
timing. Yeah, he
like
gets the
he
timing.
understands it. I was just like, I was just like, oh, he's learning the catchphrase, just like in Terminator 2. Like the Terminator 2, like the robot didn't understand the catchphrase, and then he finally understands it at
He gets it.
towards
Yeah.
the yeah towards the end. And one of the things that I really liked was they played with the character, its original, uh, using ancient languages, and they called him Tet Adam, and
Yeah. Tet
they
Adam. Yeah. Tet
yeah,
Adam.
yeah, which means death in ancient Hebrew. And so they really played with that. And not only that, it's not just ancient Hebrew, but some Palestinian languages, it means death. And I was like, all right, cool. Like they really played
because he wasn't
that.
Black Adam at all. He was not referenced as
Yeah,
Black Adam. He was Tet Adam the whole time.
yeah,
Yeah,
and and so and which helped us understand as an audience, like, oh, okay, so he's from the ancient world. In the ancient world, they didn't play like that. You know what I mean? And and it's like that made a lot of sense for them to go, Death Adam, but in the ancient language, with Tet Adam. I'm like, okay. So now we understand what's going on. And what's really cool is even though his character didn't want to be the hero, it understood that, oh, in this new world I need to be,
right.
and
That's what they need right now. But even then, he was still like, "I'm gonna do it my way." He's
yeah,
still
exactly. I love the fact that him and Aquaman were just trolling each other the entire film.
that also was like confusing to me. I was like, why did Hawkman keep going back for that fade? Like he kept losing. Like I was like, you're not gonna win that fight. Like he just kept going back for it. I was like, man, you're a hard headed dude. You're really stubborn. Like I hope that was like kind of one of his traits. One of his I don't know much about Hawkman, but yeah, that was like,
Yeah.
dang, dude really
Um,
did not. He likes to fight. That guy.
yeah. Well, they definitely went back to the 1950s Hawkman because in recent reboots, the Hawkman that was Hawkman, and this just shows you like that Dwayne Johnson really loved his comic books growing up. So him playing with the 1960s, 1950s, 1970s versions of the characters, um, made like that's when you see Black Adam, that's what you're seeing. Like the first 30 years of the Justice Society, versus
Just yeah.
what, yeah, like what we grew up with. So you know, we have this reboot scenario of different things. And in the reboots, Hawkman has been, living for thousands of years, him and his wife, and, they've done different identities and whatnot. But in this one, it's more about, um, again, not trying to bash old school storytelling, but the Hawkman back in the day was kind of like he was always stubborn, um, but then like everything that made him stubborn also made him a millionaire back in the day. Sorry, kids.
Mm,
If you're watching this, I know you're like, oh, millionaire, that's nothing.
millionaire.
We got billionaires. We got billionaires. Well, back in the day, we didn't
That was
have
a
billionaires.
lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Millionaires was the thing. In fact, Bruce Wayne back in the day was a millionaire. He was not a billionaire. So,
Not until
like,
recently the Christopher Nolan films. That's when he's a billionaire.
yeah, exactly. And so so yeah, like being a millionaire back in the day was something else. So even more so being a billionaire, oh, I mean, that's insane. But so that's what the pool that they're playing with. And it makes me think like I think Dwayne Johnson, The Rock is a comic book fan that really did his homework and he
Mm.
wanted to do the characters that he grew up with, which I can adamantly just respect the hell out of. Because they chose characters that were um, just most DC fans won't even know who Atom Smasher is or Cyclone. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
I didn't know who Adam Smasher was.
yeah,
That could say that was me. That was definitely me. Him or Cyclone.
yeah,
Right, that was the name. Yeah, I didn't know, I was like, wow, these guys they're kind of cool. Like they're you get a feel for the characters. They did it. They fleshed them out really good. They did
yeah,
good character. They did good character development with them as well.
yeah. And the other thing that I like too is they used the newer version of Adam Smasher where it's like it wasn't the uncle, it was the nephew.
And that was a cool
Uh,
little cameo.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin that cameo
No,
because
no.
that cameo was just like, okay, of course that would be the uncle because I was like, because when they announced that they were going with the nephew instead of the uncle of the Adam, the original Adam Smasher, I was like, okay, but who are they gonna have as the uncle? And like when they dropped that scene, I was like, oh, dude, that okay, that makes a ton of sense. And like his dialogue so fit the character. Like I was like, of course he would say that. That egomaniac is just his character would say that. Like it just shows you how big his ego is, and like it's not much so much about protecting his nephew. It's protecting his own
Yeah.
yeah his stuff. I'm like, of course his character would say that. And that was just I don't know, man. Like
How'd you feel
I
about the end credit scene?
oh okay. Since The Rock himself spoiled that already. Um
Oh yeah.
I love yeah, yeah. I love the fact that they brought Henry Cavill back as Superman. And I didn't know that they were fighting to bring him into the
I
movie.
didn't either. I had no idea
Yeah,
he was under. I guess there was some contract issues with him and playing
yeah,
Superman. I guess they didn't know he was gonna if he was ever gonna come back for Man of Steel Part 2 or not,
yeah.
or
And
him at
now
all.
yeah, and now because of this cameo and how big the movie is, they grin like the shit out of Man of Steel 2, which is crazy. Like, why were I mean, but I'll say this: when it comes to business, um, Dwayne the Rock Johnson, like because another friend and we were talking, um, we like the fact that like when you become Dwayne's friend, and now that he's in a seat of like importance, he's like, nah, I'm gonna make sure my homies eat, you know. And like in interviews, he was talking about, how he wanted even Kevin Hart to come into the DCEU and different characters and
I want to see
like,
Kevin Hart in the DCU. They
yeah,
need to figure out a good
yeah,
role for Kevin Hart though. Like it's got to
yeah,
be they got cuz he's Kevin Hart can do action and he can
oh yeah,
do, and he can do comedy, I mean he can get into shape. I know he can definitely have a pretty good role, you know.
yeah, one
Pretty
hundred
big.
percent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, because
Mhm.
I saw a few of his more dramatic roles, and I was like, after I saw them, and then, Dwayne was like, oh yeah, my buddy, you know, can do this. I was like, of course Kevin Hart can do this, because like I saw some of his more dramatic stuff. Like there's this film I can forgive me for not
Go off. Go
remembering.
ahead. Go on.
Yeah, but like so there's this movie that he has where he's a stand-up comedian and his life turns like a dark turn because a family member gets mixed up in the wrong stuff, and then you just see his life just falling apart. And I was just like, oh
Hmm.
yeah, now I see why Dwayne was like, Kevin can do this. Because most people and of course I hate to sound like the old tattered drum where a lot of comic book fans we're like, oh yeah, comedians we want the action heroes to be Batman or Superman, and then we're given Michael Keaton, and then Michael Keaton blows the world's pants off as fucking Batman, right? And we're still going back to the well with him as Batman next year in the Flash reboot,
Oh yeah,
which
that was good.
yeah, and where dude, the kid in me was like, they brought Michael Keaton as Batman, and I'm like, my son will finally understand why our generation loves Michael Keaton
My
as
yeah,
Batman.
you're gonna figure that. Yeah, you're gonna learn today, kid.
Hmm. So, so yeah, and the fact that like, so he fought for Henry Cavill to come back, like, that just shows you. Um, it makes me like the businessman of Dwayne
Dwayne
Johnson
Johnson. Yeah,
more.
he's definitely a business savvy. He knows what he's
Yeah,
doing. Yeah.
yeah. Because he's like, oh, we listened to the fans. We saw like what pissed them off with certain movies and why they didn't like certain things, and we're gonna do it. And like, it literally, I wouldn't be surprised if he would be like, oh, the fans really want Henry Cavill as Superman. Fuck it, let's
That's who we're
give
bringing
them,
back. That's who we're
yeah,
getting. Yes. Yeah.
yeah. So let's make him Superman. And I was just like, the whole time, and it's
And
it's
even bringing back um Waller, Jessica Waller,
yeah, Amanda Waller.
Amanda
Yes,
Waller. Excuse me. Bringing her back. Well, that was cool. Like seeing her
yeah,
a couple times throughout the movie. You're like, all right, yeah, I like her. I like her character, even though she's kind of a crazy. She's one of the most evil characters in the DC, and I'm just like, dude, I just can't get enough of her, man. Like, I love her. I love her, and I forget the actress's name. But
yeah,
her portrayal of her, yeah, it's really good.
dude. That she is gonna be like this generation's M of James Bond. Like she will forever be Amanda Waller. Like
Yeah,
you know, you
she's gonna
know,
be the M.
'cause,
Yeah,
yeah, she's gonna be the M or even the Q. Because like in every
right.
James Bond like movie, M and Q for a long time they never recast the characters, and like it, from the Pierce Brosnan M to the Daniel Craig M, like they never changed it. So and Q had been Q ever, forever until Daniel Craig. So I think she's going to be one of those legacy characters in the DCU, like because she just knows how that character is, and I wouldn't be
Man, she's
shocked.
good. She's so
Yeah,
good at portraying her. Yeah, she's.
yeah.
I
I
love
mean,
her.
like her first outing, where like she, in the first original Suicide Squad,
Suicide
where
Squad. Yeah.
yeah, where she just takes the gun and just shoots everybody in the fucking room. I was just like, oh, we're doing that, okay? Like, of course, Amanda Waller would do
Yeah,
that. Like,
that's something
and
totally.
then
Yeah.
yeah, and she doesn't blink when she does it. She just takes it, and goes bang, 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 bang. You know what I mean? And then she's like, okay, let's go. And
Unflinching. Yeah.
yeah, and to where even the super villains are going,
Holy shit.
damn, you are cold. Like that had, you know what I mean? So to if I could ever do an interview with her, I would do it in a heartbeat to understand where does she go because as an actress, you know, how can you tap into such a dark character? And it just makes me want to go, okay, where do you go? Because even Dwayne, because when they asked Dwayne Johnson, because like Black Adam is not the stoic hero that he normally plays. He's a much darker
Right.
thing. And then they're like, and he's like, oh, easily. I tapped into the things that were people told me, oh, I couldn't do it, and so I had to prove them wrong. And when you watch the movie, like that's what everyone's telling you. Like he comes from a different culture, a different country, a different time frame, and everyone's telling him no, and he's just like, okay, well then pissed off, I'm
Well,
gonna do it
stop
anyway.
me. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, then
Yeah,
stop me. Damn
yeah.
it.
Then stop me. And like, so I get where he got it. You know what I mean? So I would like to know how she taps into that character because she, the actress that plays Amanda Waller, like she has such lovely films where she um plays such like very emotional characters that you can grab onto, and the fact that she can just shut off those emotions and just be a cold-hearted evil soul, like how where did you find that you can do this? You know what I mean? Where? Like, because even in interviews, like she sucks you in with her charisma. Like, oh yeah, I would definitely go to dinner with you and drink some wine and just kick it on the
Pick your
beach and just be
brain.
like,
Just relax.
you
Yeah.
know,
Just
you seem like this awesome human being that I would just spend a holiday with and just, have fun. And then you're able to like flip the switch and become the most cold-hearted monster in cinema history as of late. And I'm like, how do you do that? Like she's just
Right.
it's crazy, man. It's so crazy. I'm serious, dude. Like she, because anyone that watches her films knows the actress can just be like draw you in, be like, oh, I'm rooting for her. I love her. She's fantastic. When she does the Amanda Waller thing, you're like, okay, wow. Oh, where did that come
You
from?
don't
Like,
you don't know how to you don't know why you're rooting for her. She's like so evil. You'd be like, but I love her. Like, oh my goodness, like I would put me on the Suicide Squad. Damn it, I'll
yeah.
go.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing about her performance, right? Like, she's an evil monster,
And
but
she
you're like,
doesn't care. Yeah, she has no
yeah.
feelings.
and
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 then
we're
and
rooting
seeing,
for her.
yeah, and you're still, yeah, exactly. And you're still
You're
like, oh well, yeah.
like,
In Peacemaker, her daughter, Abada,
yeah,
Abada, I forget her name.
yeah,
That's like that's
it's
crazy to see that's like one of the only things she cares about is her
yeah,
daughter. And that was like really that was different, because you're so used to Amanda Waller being so cold, and then you see just a small sliver of humanity, and you're like, what the hell? That's crazy. Like,
yeah,
oh yeah,
and
she
and
she
it's,
does a really good she does a really good job with her, with
yeah,
that character.
and the fact that like in going back to the Peacemaker series, and since we can spoil that because by now
Yeah.
everyone should have seen the Peacemaker series, um, like the fact that like there's a layer, that and again, kudos to the actress that plays Amanda Waller, and forgive us for not remembering her name because it's been a long week at work for both of us.
No
Um,
doubt. Yeah.
yeah, it's like the the fact that they delivered this uh this layer where she all she cares about is her daughter's life, making sure she's okay and all this, but then she just flips that switch again, makes you go, how in the hell as an actress can you deliver such powerful, like, because you're rooting for that relationship even though Amanda Waller is just an evil monster. Like you're like, oh, she's helping her daughter get a job and using her strengths to make sure that her own daughter's going to be okay in life. And then at the same time you're like, but she's a manipulative monster that just like, you know what I mean? Like, where does this actress get this dark space? You know what I mean?
I
Like,
just
I
had to
would
look
love.
up her. I had to look up her name. Her name is Viola Davis.
Yes, Viola
Like,
Davis. Thank
Viola
you.
Davis. Yeah, it
Yes.
was
Yeah.
driving me nuts. I was like, because she just had the Woman King, that just came out, and
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta look this
Yeah.
wonderful actress name up real quick. Viola Davis. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But where does she? How does she get to that? How does
Yeah.
she plays? I don't know. How she must have. She must relate to this character on another level. For her to play this person so well. Play this character.
Yeah. And I would not be shocked if that becomes a legacy character for her. Like
I
we were
hope
talking
so.
about.
Like she's like the
Yeah.
Nick Fury. She's like Nick Fury at this point. She just,
Yeah.
you
The
know,
DC versions of Nick Fury. Like you need Viola Davis to be this
to get this
morally
team
corrupt.
together. Yeah, she
Yeah.
has to get this team. Yeah, I know. Like what the Justice League isn't gonna take care of, she'll take care of it. And she gets the job. Oh, she gets the job done. Doesn't matter what it is.
Oh, dude.
She is
And
so
it's
cold.
and that's the beautiful thing, right? Like it I don't know. Viola Davis, like I love her films. Um, I again, she can make you really root for a character. Like she like have sympathy, love, respect, and make believe that she, even in The Woman King, if no one's ever saw it, like she makes you believe that she could be a hero in her own right. But again, where the hell she goes in her soul to create Amanda Waller, um, is just because we're all, she's a very altruistic person. Again, I wouldn't mind hanging out with her on a holiday, just be like, oh yeah, let's go to the beach and drink some wine and throw a bonfire and whatever and just hang out. Like she seems like one of those people that you can really do that. And even
Yes.
through the roles that she chose, like she would, be this awesome person to hang around with, but then she chooses this role of Amanda Waller, and you're like, yo, homie, where
How
did
did you?
you
Yeah.
yeah, how did you pull that one off? Because and what's crazy is she still makes you want to root for the character. That's what's mind-boggling, Because usually a monstrous character like that, you're like, also as an audience, we're going like, oh yeah, Lex Luthor, chuck him out the window. The Joker, chuck him out the window. But Amanda Waller, nope, nope. That's a sacred character. She cannot die. Let's, and she can do that.
Because it's I think what's so cool about her character is she is so diabolical. She can control all these other diabolical characters. Like
Yeah,
it's nothing. She can just pull strings. She just knows how to get to you. She just
yeah,
knows. And she does, and like I said, Viola Davis does a great job of really bringing that to life.
yeah.
Just not to um, push everything forward. Not to change the subject. Did you want to talk about the dark web? Or I don't know if you want to talk about the Yu-Gi-Oh creator.
Yeah, yeah. So
Recent
let's
passing.
let's let's talk about that a little bit. So the Yu-Gi-Oh creator, that for you that don't know, unfortunately has passed away by there was an army officer and his wife, um, you know, going for a swim, and he swam out to save them from the riptide, and in doing so, he drowned and passed away earlier on within the week. And you know, I I was never a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, but I do know a lot of you folks are, and um, anytime someone passes away, it's heartbreaking. But the fact that this guy uh, r- chose to give his life for two other human beings um, just speaks volumes of what kind of person he was. And I know a lot of people that watch Yu-Gi-Oh were very heartbroken when they announced this, especially the ones that like to play the game and stuff. And so we would like to give our condolences to the family and to you, the fans, as well. Because as a fan, growing up in comics, uh, we know what it's like to lose that kind of talent. But also because as a fan, you kind of like grow attached to a person, whether it's being in a movie role, like we've just been talking nonstop about Viola Davis being this character and how awesome she is in it. Um, but you know, truth be told, like we understand where some of your guys' heartbreak is coming from. Like your guys' creator, your guys' Stan Lee, um, passed away, and you know, and for the
So
family,
the creator's name is Kazuki Takahashi.
yes.
He I'll say for one, I grew up playing the card game and watching the show up until I think they lost me. I got a little older at some point, I think in high school, and they started complicating the game, and they kind of lost me. But I was always a fan
Hmm.
of the game, the card game. I still have to this day, like if my friends they're like, hey, let's play Yu-Gi-Oh, bring it on, dude. Like I have like 3 or 4 decks, like let's do this. Run it, let's go. I have the mat, the playing mats and everything. But I'll say one thing, it's a tragedy what happened, but I'll say this: he's a hero I mean, as sad as it is to say he's gone, I was like, wow, that's so selfless of him, to give his life trying to save someone else's life, and there's almost nothing more admirable, and I can't think of a better way. I mean, it sucks about what absolutely terrible, but I can say like that speaks volume about his character, what kind of person he was. He'll be sorely missed, man. Like it sucks, you know.
Yeah.
But
And again, I know his family's probably still hurting. Like it's still pretty fresh. And the fact that like yeah, but I I cannot imagine a parent if you hear your child doing something heroic like that. Like you as a parent would be like, yeah, like we
because I
raised
think
him right.
he went missing, right? I think he went missing for a week, and nobody knew what happened to him
Right.
until later on they found he kind of, I guess he washed up, his body washed up, and they were able to determine like, oh yeah, this is what happened. I guess somebody witnessed him going in
Yeah.
and trying to save this couple, and
Which is crazy because like when you think about it, like uh, and I understand the army officer that saw him trying to save the two people didn't know who he was because he was an older gentleman in his 60s, so like he wouldn't have and not only that, like not many, like for instance I didn't know who he was until recently, and then you as a fan like, oh, I know who he is, whatever, like, so I understand like there's certain pockets of fame that you will get. Like you and I probably wouldn't know what
mm-mm.
Drew Brees, or I don't know, insert a celebrity here that for certain things that we just don't pay attention to. Like we wouldn't know what they are, and then we would see them do
Or a
something
certain
heroic.
artist, especially if you might
Yeah.
know, you might listen to their music all the time, but you have no idea what this person looks like. Like that's probably my biggest problem with music artists. Like I might have seen them. I live in LA. I might have seen some of my favorite artists. I just
What's
don't
up,
know.
pops?
I just
Hey,
don't know who
so
they are.
yeah, no, pops is watching
What's up?
our thing. So Pops, for y'all that don't know, is he gave me my start on the Madness Network, and we decided to I don't know, talk late in the evening about comic books. So thank you, Pops. Um,
Cheers.
and so moving the thing forward, with our closing discussion, let's go ahead and talk about the Joker, the man who stopped
Oh
Black.
yeah. Oh yeah. So I only got to about halfway, a little more than halfway, but I got to the big reveal because the story up until that point, I was wondering who was telling the story, because
Yeah.
there's a narration on the side, and it's
Hmm.
it's very like you're listening. It's like this sounds like the Joker, or like kind of like, but at the same time, you see the Joker, and he's saying something different, and his actions are, and then you realize, okay, it's this dude, this person being held hostage, but he has a bag over his head, so you don't know who the hell this guy is either. And I don't know if we want to talk about that. I got the
Oh
big
no,
reveal. I don't know.
that's yeah. No, we can talk about the big reveal because this big reveal allowed a lot of DC fans to like not hate Jeff Johns. So Jeff Johns over the years has been a huge influence in DC, which we love him to death. But he did this graphic novel. Well, at the time, it wasn't a graphic novel; it was a series called The Three Jokers.
The
And
Three Joker, yeah.
he, yeah. So back in a Green Lantern series that he did, Batman sits on the Mobius chair and he asks, "Who is the Joker?" Because they wanted to know who the Joker was, and he finds out that there's three of them, and Batman goes, "What? There's three of them," and in a weird way, Jeff Jones solidified that the Joker does have a name, and they pretty much gave us his name. His name would
Jack.
be Oswald White.
Oh,
Right.
not so. It's not Jack.
No,
Not Jack.
so Jack
Also,
Napier
yeah.
is in a different is
Universe, different universe,
a
different
different
time.
universe. Like
Okay.
there's technically there's five Jokers. There's Jack Napier, which was made popular by the Tim Burton Batman, and
Okay.
it ran for
Jack
years.
Nicholson's character. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because and that was a play on the two actors that actually played Joker at that time. So Jack Nicholson, and then the guy Napier, the other actor that had played him before. So it was a play on.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
see, right. So that's what they did. I can't remember the actor's name,
Is it
but his
Caesar?
last. No, Caesar Romero played him in the
Oh,
nineteen
that's the
sixties.
show. That's the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the show. I'm talking about the original actor that played the man who smiles, that inspired the Joker. So, they, and I can't remember the actor's name, but it's like Napier. It was his last name. And so it was a play on words, Jack and Napier. Like
Jack
that's why
Napier.
they did. Yeah.
But
So
but Oswald what was his name? The he sits in
Jack
the
Oswald
Mobius.
White. Yeah. So he sits in the Mobius chair. He finds out there's three Jokers. And so, like, we find out the reason why the Joker has changed over the years because, like he was a prankster, a gangster in the 80s
Mhm.
and 90s, and then there's another one where he's more of a um, how can I say this?
Psychopath or sadist? Like
Yeah,
he's a lot.
like a psychopath, right? So he's more homicidal. So and they use all the reasons for all three of those. And so but unfortunately, like I love, I'm probably one of the few fans that love it, but uh the three Jokers, I love to death what they did with it. And it was great. And they solidified that Alan Moore's run in the Killing Joke um, was the true story of the Joker. They made it canon. For years, it wasn't. It was just its own thing
Yeah, yeah.
because at the end of Killing Joke, for avid comic book fans, Batman kills the Joker.
Yeah.
Like and that's why it was called the Killing Joke. But the thing that ends up happening is, Jeff Johns, he says, "Oh nope, that's canon," and then DC went out of their way to go like, "Oh yeah," so because Flashpoint happened, and between Batman's father and his mother, having a conversation, we learned that Jack Oswald White was the Joker, and Thomas Wayne, Batman's father, killed the Joker in his version of reality.
Yeah.
But when they switched back over, they were like, oh, when they did the whole new 52, yeah, the Joker's still alive, whatever. They just, a soft reboot. But ever since then, they were like, yeah, the Joker is Jack Oswald White. But again, there's in different timelines, or different realities, there's five different Jokers. You have
Five in
Joke.
total. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a guy his name is Joe, and his last name is Kerr, like
Hmm.
Kur, and he becomes the Joker. Then you have Jack Napier, you have Jack Oswald White, and then I forget the other two. But for the main continuity, what a lot of fans liked was we liked the fact that we didn't know who the Joker was. So when Jeff Johns goes, "Yep, that's the solidified Joker. This is what happened," it was like, "Oh no, we don't want that for the main continuity. We like the mysterious." So this new series is tapping back into rewriting that whole thing. Like we don't know who the Joker is because was the Joker? this new Joker, or was it the one that he made? Because um, I kind of like this idea that there's a madman creating more madmen.
Creating, yeah, and then
Yeah,
giving them the title of the Joker.
yeah, I like that idea. I
I
really
do too.
do.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the fact that like now it's like, well, wait, which one is the actual Joker? Which one is actually? And I like that
Who is the
mysteriousness.
original? Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes it a lot of fun. Like, and the other thing that I loved about this series was um, going back to because it's under the DC Black banner, so it just shows you the morbid sense of humor that the character has. Because
Yeah.
like in the Three Jokers, we kind of see it with when you're reading the comic book. There's a pool of dead bodies in the Joker like serum, like just a pool. Like they're laying in a pool and they're all dead and they're in the Joker serum, and then they wake up from the Joker serum and like they start attacking everybody, and I was just like, dude, that's crazy. And
That's
one of the
nuts. Yeah.
things, yeah, and one of the things that I like about this story is that they go back to that kind of insanity because they're going in there and saying, okay, you think that was nuts? Watch this. And we see the Joker taking over LA in the most ostentatious way. Like he's throwing people in alligator pools. He's hitting one guy with a one of his goons is hitting a dude with an ice
The ice
cream
cream
truck.
truck.
Like it's just insane, and I love it. I'm loving it, dude.
Talk about a hostile takeover.
Yeah. Um. So what did you enjoy about it as a reader? What did
that
you?
reveal that reveal at the end where the whole that person that's being kidnapped
Mhm.
reveals himself at the end. You're just like, oh shoot, he is also the Joker. Like there's another one. Like I want now, like you're saying, going back to that, who is who's the original, like, or is it going to be like you said, another situation where they both think they're the original, and they're going to have to either figure out that they're both not, or and then I got this extra at the end of this. It comes with I guess a one-off Joker comic, that or it's like
Oh yeah, in the back, right?
yeah, in the back it's like a
A
that I
little
haven't gotten to, but other than that, man, yeah, that I like too. I like how they give you another little extra comic at the end of the comic.
yeah, and I read it. It was pretty good. It was pretty funny. It's just showing you how much that the character is very unhinged. Um, as he falls in love with another character that couldn't care less uh with who he is. Like it's a morbid romance
Oh no.
story. So it's quite entertaining. For
That guy cannot get his romance right, except in the Joker Harley, except in the new Joker Harley Quinn. I mean, not Joker, the Harley Quinn
yeah.
Poison Ivy show. That's probably one of my favorite versions of Joker, because he's so wild. It's like he's like a family man, but he's also batshit crazy. He's like, now he's batshit crazy for his family.
Yeah.
That was a cool little twist for him.
Yeah.
But
So,
anyway, yeah.
but yeah, and I think if them resetting and listening to the fans and going like, oh yeah, we definitely need to make the Joker is we just don't know who he is, what he is. Let's just do it. And you know, I like that version, like for the main continuity. Like we have
It gives what he does more like mystery. Like, what is he gonna do? Like, you don't know what his motive, like what's his true motivations. Like, you don't know. Like, he can come out of nowhere and just come out of left field, and then like you say, there's three different Jokers. One of them's kind of like a trickster who likes to go around trying to rob banks or rob people, and then they're the ones like just gonna try to blow Gotham off of the face of the map,
yeah.
or turn everyone against each other. You know how the Joker does it, but
Yeah.
That was
And
good. I like. I'm sorry.
no, you're good, man.
No,
Like,
that was yeah. I'm done. That was the end of my statement.
yeah, no worries, man. Yeah, so bring it back to um, that idea that the Joker is just multiple people from multiple things, and they all think they're the original one. So we don't know who is the
Who?
Joker
Yeah.
really. Um, as a fan, I really like that idea because, you know, not not for nothing. I mean, in comics, we have a few legacy characters like that. Like in the Phantom, the Phantom, we know like it's carried down from generations to generations. Father to son, father to son, father to son. So like we understand if you are reading the Phantom, doesn't matter, new reader, old reader, like you're reading that generation's Phantom that
Hmm.
was passed down. Um, but the idea of the Joker just creating
As
new
many
Jokers, as many as he want, like yeah,
for
okay,
whatever
it's
reason.
the yeah, which makes it like a lot more of a complicated villain because we got different names and different motives and different ideologies. Like it's a madman creating a mad world. Like, and I like it. I like it a lot, dude. And the fact that they're going back to that well is just like, okay, cool. Let's explore the hell out of
Let's see where you can go. Yeah, let's see how wild you can go with this.
it. Yeah. So, um, well, for this podcast, that's all we got, folks. You want to add anything? You got anything else?
I'll say this. I'm looking forward to next week, or if not next week, the week after. They'll have the next Sergeant Rock issue, and then we can talk about
Yes.
the next Sergeant Rock issue. I finally picked up the first one, and I got to read it. It was awesome, man. I love it. Like I said, I'm looking forward to this next one.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, no, let's definitely either next week or the week after next when we talk about the comics that we're reading. Um, and next time I'll talk about the graphic novel Cali MC. Because and by the way, I will send you a free copy because I got like 5 of them from my comic guy.
Cool.
So yeah, dude, I love that graphic novel. We gotta talk about it, man. All right. So thanks, family. Thanks for checking
Yeah.
in.
Thank you, everyone.
And
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say if anyone wants us to research anything, leave it in the comments. And we can look into whatever any topics that you guys can think of.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And if there's maybe a book that you guys are following that you would like us to just talk about as fans, dude, again, share in the comments.
Yeah.
Just go back there and just share in the comments, and you know.
Type it in there. Let us know.
Yeah.
No
All right,
topics
homie.
off limit. Yeah. All right, y'all.
All right, late.
Thank you for having me again, man.